Cam got hit.
Hey, what's up going on, folks? We got another movie review, and I'm joined by Niger again. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? How you feeling?
Doing pretty good. So we're gonna be talking about a movie that's coming out this week, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Yes, sir.
It's a new animated film. I guess Sony's basically dabbling in the animated field on top of the live action thing that they did with Venom. And we got Shamik Moore playing Miles Morales, and Jake Johnson as Peter Parker, Haley Stanfield as Gwen Stacy, Marshall Ali as Uncle Aaron, a.k.a. The Prowler, Paperboy, a.k.a. Brian Tyree Henry as Jefferson Davis, and got Zoe Kravitz as Mary Jane. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And
didn't see it and didn't even realize it.
Yeah, Nick Cage as Spider-Man Noir. And such. And shockingly enough, Chris Pine was Peter Parker 2.
Yeah, the first one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the one from Miles' universe.
Yeah, the smooth, younger, cleaned up version.
Yeah.
The more willing to help one.
Yeah, and Liev Schreiber played Wilson Fisk. I didn't catch that. I should have caught that, but I didn't catch that. So, I also have to mention Luna Velez. If you remember her from New York Undercover, she plays Rio Morales, Miles Morales' mom. So, it's a little review, so we're not going to spoil anything and stuff, much like the Creed one. So, I guess for you, what was your just overall thoughts on this film?
So, I guess, first of all, going over the voice actors and actresses for this, you get surprised there. Now, even afterwards, you kind of familiarize yourself with some of the voicing, but like, I know that voice, and then actually looking at the cast, like, it's very impressive.
Dude,
like
Crondon from Black Lightning was Tombstone.
Yeah,
it didn't catch me until like I heard him talking. I was like, that sounds like Tobias, and it's him.
Yeah, I just wasn't picking it up, and I mean, and it's really not in poor taste. I mean, so much is happening on the screen. You just like, if you take too much time wandering off, like, wait, trying to recognize the voice, you're gonna miss the tons of action and animation that this did. I mean,
yeah.
It was again when we saw the preview and stuff at San Diego. We knew we were seeing something magical, and it was something very different. But like they warned us there, they still had more touching up to do on it. So obviously, fast forwarding now to the completion of the project, it just was amazing. It was just some of the scenes and this animation was just breathtaking. And it's easy to say it's a comic book come to life, but I mean, what is that entitled until you actually see this? You're like, oh, this is a lot more than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I would say this. So my worry, because I didn't, me and the guys, we were kind of finishing up our interview, so we didn't get a chance to go to the panel. But,
okay.
I think I saw the first trailer, and then I was like, all right, this could be interesting. I think that was the teaser. They didn't really show much. And then, like, when we got to the second and third one, I had worries because, when you have a movie that's called Into the Spiderverse and you see these other spider characters in there, my worry was that it was going to go from a Miles movie to, oh, they're really just going to overshadow Miles with all these other characters. And shockingly enough, the movie doesn't do that.
Yeah, I will say I was very adamant that this was going to be the Gwen Stacy coming out party.
Oh, dude, I thought it was too.
she's the center. She's the centerpiece in all of any animated Spider-Man anything right now, from new shows on Disney XD to just everything. Everything is just Spider-Gwen. All their advertisement, all their new toys is all Spider-Gwen. So I'm 100% behind you on that. Roz said like, oh, it's going to be cool. We get Miles, but this will be the Spider-Gwen-verse by the end of this movie, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and that's kudos to the writing from Lord and Miller, and they had Brian Michael Bendis on board with it and stuff, and you can tell that while you have those other characters, because I would say more than anything, you get an understanding of Spider-Man Noir, who's voiced by Nicolas Cage. Great, perfect. You get a feeling for his world because each Spider character, they tell their origin and it's kind of played up as a joke and stuff, but it doesn't shy away from the overall narrative and stuff, because the overall narrative is basically Miles along with the other Spider characters. They're out to save the world from the dimensions crashing on one another by Kingpin, because Kingpin wants to bring back his wife and kid and stuff because they died in an accident when he was fighting Spider-Man, and that's the whole crux of it. And they do give you the gist of it. I think out of all the characters, I think Peter Parker probably gets the secondary characterization, followed by Gwen and stuff. But Peter in particular, this is a Peter from a different universe who had all these responsibilities as Spider-Man and stuff. And then when Mary Jane was like, "Hey, what about kids and marriage?" he freaked out and they got separated.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to figure out himself and whether he can be serious as an adult and still be Spider-Man and stuff. And it goes the way it goes and stuff, but if anything, it's really focused on Miles and his family, in particular his relationship with his uncle and his father, big time and stuff like that. So but like you said, the animation really just nailed the comic aesthetics of what they were going for, because I thought it was going to be one of those situations too. I'm all good for animation and stuff, but I was kind of worried it was going to be kind of like flashy, Caesar-inducing levels of animation. Oh man, because look,
I always forget that's a possibility. I just literally always do until it happens. You're like, all right.
Yeah, and I think maybe because since we've been doing the critic stuff, I haven't watched like a IMAX 3D of any of these movies at this point, and it's like I'm pretty sure this is one of those movies. If you saw it in IMAX 3D, it'll probably pop.
Well, yeah, that's exactly my only negative about this movie. Is that there was times, and hopefully Sam from JVS is able to join us. And we had a good conversation about this. Now, I'm not going to lie, and if anybody's a big Rotten Tomato head, there's the first guy to actually give it Rotten. Yeah. I was with him for the first two lines where he said the beginning of the movie had a lot of blurry spots, and I was like, oh yeah, it definitely did, because I was just looking like I'm not sure what I should be looking at, because with technology or just photography or anything nowadays, when you talk about focal points, you usually have your object in the middle that stands out, and then everything else blurred around it. Where sometimes some of the scenes in the movie were doing the reverse, where the focal thing in the middle was blurred and everything around it wasn't. And I'm just like, I don't know if this is supposed to be like this, and I wasn't really sure where my eyes should be looking at. And then to that point, I started thinking, well, how's it going to look in IMAX 3D? Were they aiming to make this a 3D movie? Because they was very adamant about it. Took them a long time to get this animation together, and maybe just to make things work and to get out, maybe they fell short of that idea of going 3D. So I will say the first 20 to maybe 30 minutes, there was like some eye trickery on like what I should be looking at. But to Sam's point, where he was saying earlier, and I hope he can come back to reiterate it more, he said, well, this is basic comic book art and animation, where they, you do get a whole canvas of stuff, but they want you to look at other things because there's something that you should be looking at, or something may be happening. And considering the nature of Peter Parker, Miles Morales, spider senses, that's kind of what they were aiming towards. I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. So now I'm all more intrigued. Back to your point, what does this look like on IMAX? And not to mention too the soundtrack that was revolved around this. In a better theater, I think it also would have played towards the animation a lot better, considering we just seen it in standard definition,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, because Infinity War, I actually did watch this second time in IMAX 3D, and it's like, the visuals in that movie pop. So I have to.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, so I have to imagine if I saw this in 3D, the visuals, especially when you get to the final battle in the movie, the visuals are like ridiculous. Yeah. And then that didn't even have no blur at that point. So that's just like, oh, that's god. The thing. It's weird to me because y'all caught the blur. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because I'm not. For me with animation, I usually catch some of the obvious stuff. So for me, it was like, it looked perfect to me, So like, because I think I did see that review you were talking about, and I was like, what is he talking about? Like, maybe I missed something. I just like, I don't know. Maybe he just had a bad screen. I don't know. It's just, I don't want to discount it and stuff. But I mean, granted, the rest of the review, I'm like, what the hell movie were you watching?
Exactly. That's my point. To say something you don't like about it is fine, but everything else he was saying was completely atrocious. It just was not even. Again, what movie was he watching?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because it's like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if he has an eye for the animation thing, it's like, okay, maybe he sees something I don't knock it, and then the rest is like, what are you talking about, man? Like, which is it's amazing to me that this movie got 100% because it's like, when you get like some of the Marvel movies that came out this year, like Black Panther and Infinity War, those hit around like the 95, 96%, the Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. And the thing is, for this to get 100%, it's just crazy that it got that universal, like, oh, people actually did dig it. And I mean, like I said, it goes through the whole movie, which is the heart of the movie, which is Miles and his dad. And I have to give credit to Brian Henry, man. He really knew how to play a dad. And stuff like that beginning part of I love you. He's like, oh, come on, Dad. Really, and the whole dynamic of their relationship was just typical, like, oh, it's not all, sunny and roses. It's actually, there is a nuance to this relationship and stuff. I do wish, this is just me, that they had a little bit more scenes with the mom.
Oh, yeah. It
like, it's enough, but it's like, I want a little bit more.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to dance around what I want to say without giving much, but there was a dynamic there that that you can see kind of manifesting a little, and they didn't do it. And this is not a problem, but considering the chemistry between the people, the characters and the scenes, you kind of do start raising your eyebrows a little.
Yeah, because I was like, it looked like because to the movie's credit, it looks like he has a relationship with his mom, but because he has a relationship with his uncle and stuff, it ties a little bit more to his relationship with his dad, and his mom is kind of like the good cop to the dad's bad cop at times. Yeah. I mean, it works and stuff, but, you're kind of wishing, like, can we get just a little bit more with the mom? Yeah. One-on-one time with the mom, that would be nice,
Yeah.
So that's just me, but, I mean, I don't know about you on your end.
Yeah, I mean, again, what's her name? Like you said, for New York Undercover, the mom role, it was just genuine. And you spoke about the dad relationship. It legitimately felt like a legit mom and dad to Miles in his teenage years and what he was through. It didn't, and I will say a lot of like cartoon / animated movies kind of feel kind of like, I don't know, not real, sort of say, or just not genuine. But this relationship, you can just kind of tell like a lot of people can resonate with it because it's pure organic, and the conversations and dialogues that they had with each other. So once you're able to kind of resonate with a character, with the mom, it's kind of hard to not say more once you kind of like put yourself there in the emotional value. Like, I'm feeling what she's saying. I'm feeling how she's playing the mom role between Miles, a teenage guy, still trying to figure it out, and a dad that's, struggling with his issue, a cop at that too, right? So it's long story short, I would have liked to see more there.
Yeah, because I mean, and even like on the Gwen side of things, they do, like I said, I think she got probably like the third kind of characterization. You see with her, what I enjoyed about her is that, like, because every character has an origin, and I like with her origin, this isn't really spoiling it, it's like a flip side. It's what you expect her origin to be. It's just role reversed, basically. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense and stuff. But like, they play up her relationship with Miles, but it's not like they didn't do the typical, oh, they're a couple now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's a good thing. Because that was another thing. I didn't want them to shotgun Gwen and Miles getting together, because that was going through my head initially. Like, they're really going to try to hook them up, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's really hard to kind of tiptoe around some of these points. But again, to that point that you're talking about, this is exactly why I was just like, this keeps Miles safe. because again, if they would have went with that element, it would have been the Gwenverse, sort of say.
Gwenverse featuring Miles Morales. You know?
Exactly.
But again, it goes back to it earlier. If they really managed to tie it into Miles and him just kind of coming to his own and stuff as Spider-Man. And it's actually, like I said, and even what I thought was cool was like his relationship with his uncle. Like his uncle, I think he was, like I said, he's doing what he's doing as the Prowler as means to an end. You know, Oh, go ahead.
No, and that's again to the point. Like the family chemistry is legit. Like to see how Miles and his uncle form a bond. I mean, again, that's something that you see day to day that a lot of people can resonate with. Granted, his uncle was the Prowler. He was never a bad guy in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like that scene with them like spray painting and tagging, like that relationship was
Hella
like,
dope.
oh yeah, it was nice. It was actually cool because I mean, it's cool to see nuance of that kind of relationship, and it's not like prototypical like, oh,
Exactly.
you know, me and your dad were beefing, and why are you here? You know, it was like, no, they have a relationship. His dad knows that they have a relationship. He isn't necessarily interfering with that, which was shocking to me because I was thinking that he was gonna be like, hey, don't go around your uncle ever. It was just like, oh no, I know you hang around him, but whatever, do what you want, you know.
Yep.
You know, which is,
And so that goes back to your point again. We want more from the mom. How does the mom sort of say interact with the dad here through those challenges? The dad respects the relationship between the uncle and the son. The mom is kind of taking the backseat role to it, but there's times where there's kind of short one-liners that she says that you be like, I want to know what her general feelings is in that. So
yeah, I mean, in the comics they do a pretty good job of showing his relationship with his mom. So I think in the movie, if there was going to be, I think we as the audience, right, we're seeing that Miles clearly has probably a slightly better relationship with his mom than his dad initially. Just at the beginning of the movie of how you see, you know, with his mom when, you know, she's kissing him on the cheek and stuff. And he's like, oh, mom, you know. But like with his dad, it's just like, ugh, my dad's a cop. Why? You know, oh, I got to take the stuff down that I tagged. This sucks, you know. But it's not a bad thing. It's just like my dad's a cop, whatever. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah, the characterization of the mom would have been nice to get just a little bit.
Yeah,
you know, so.
yeah.
But what did you think of Fisk in this film?
I mean, I think that first of all, Wilson Fisk in Daredevil has set a high tone for what it means to be a villain. So when that character is instated from now on, you expect nothing less from it. Yeah. And even in this, I felt that it's really on par with what we see with Daredevil, a very meticulous villain with his means of villainry and the logic behind it very concrete throughout the whole movie. Mm-hmm. That's literally my issues with villains. It's that you want power, but why do you want power? And then when you get power, what does it matter after that? Why does this person need to die? Wilson Fisk, from the beginning of the movie to the end, had one plan, and that was his plan throughout it. It was good.
Want my wife and kid back. And that's what, and it works because they could have easily with Fisk been like, oh, I just want power and take over the universes, and it's like, okay, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
you know. But this, it kind of raises the question of like, oh, he's doing whatever he can to get his wife and kid back, but at what cost? Because I mean, it's not really a spoiler because that's the base of the movie. Mm-hmm. Fisk kills Spider-Man, and Miles witnesses it, and it's kind of like, oh my god, like what happens? And that's the key thing about this movie is the fact that, like, you know, you see how the world reacts to he's just a kid. Mm-hmm. That's Spider-Man, which ties into what Stan Lee was always saying, that anybody could be Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. You know, which, by the way, the Stan Lee cameo, I'm saying this in a very nice way. Fuck you, Sony, for that. Because I'm like, yo, why did you hit me in my field? Like, he just died. You know, if I know he filmed that already, but it was like, oh,
you knew it was coming.
The feels. I didn't know it was going to hit like that, though, man. That was just like, oh my god, the feels. I know everybody in the theater was just like, ooh, it hit. But yeah, it's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, he has a lot of nuance to him and stuff. Like I said, with Tombstone, with Krondorm playing Tombstone, it's like, oh, I want to see more of that. And we see that universe's Doc Ock and
Scorpion. Yeah, that's the point. That's something that I think we should just say real quick. Again, this is not a spoiler, but by no means were they short on villains. They brought all. They brought everyone. They brought well, I'm not gonna say common because we haven't even seen Tombstone on. We haven't
seen him since I think the current cartoon has Tombstone, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I mean they had a good variation of villains, and it was good to see. It was good to see that, considering that this was a movie about the different Spider-Verses, and we know about all the Spider-Mans that they been marketing, but there was a ton of villains in it as well, so that was pretty cool.
I mean, there was no shortage of them because they, like, with the villains, they did just enough to be like, oh, okay, that's a new take. Like Scorpion, there's a new take on Scorpion that's different than what we know of Scorpion in the comic, and I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty dope design. And
I liked it.
Possible hint of what we might get in the live action if they do go with that kind of design. We'll see. Same with Tombstone, and like the design of Kingpin, I like how he's like very larger than life.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Which, I mean, like I said, the whole aesthetics of like the visual of the movie, they over exaggerate certain things. Like I said, Tombstone is over exaggerated. The Prowler is very sleek in design. Scorpion has exaggerated kind of like design, and even Doc Ock is different. I'm not going to spoil the twist on that one because it's actually pretty interesting. Even down to like Miles and all the Spider-Man, like Spider-Man Noir is like, he looks like a detective. And then you have Spider-Ham, Spider-Gwen. All of them have different designs, and they still had to sell them because when you see the other Peter Parker, he's a person that's like a middle-aged, semi-overweight, got a dad bod, I should say.
That gave up.
Dad bod that's still Spider-Man and stuff, and he's busting out sweats as Spider-Man. It's just hilarious to see because it's like, well, that is kind of a what if Spider-Man was just a dad, So it worked for what it was and stuff. But like I said, overall as a movie, everything moved pretty smoothly and stuff. It hit the beats that it had to hit because your character has his highs and he has his lows and stuff. But it worked. It definitely worked and stuff. And the music played a part in it as well for certain things because that Post Malone song was like the song, which is actually it's a catchy ass song. I ain't gonna lie and stuff. But I gotta listen to the rest of the soundtrack and stuff. I hope it hits vinyl because that'd actually be pretty dope if it hits vinyl. But
I was thinking that today. I was like, I think I want the vinyl of this. Like, let's do it that way.
I got the Black Panther vinyl. I got that.
Oh, that's dope.
I got that on Black Friday, so I was like, I might have to get that and stuff. But like, the soundtrack was actually pretty good. Lily Tomlin was Aunt May. I didn't catch it. Again, that's another voice actors that you're like, oh, that is her. Huh.
Yeah, I that one I got easy.
Like I said, the Zoe Kravitz one is probably the only one that threw me off. I was like, that was Zoe Kravitz?
Yeah.
Huh. But Haley Stanfield, she's going to be the one that's really going to... Everybody's going to know her name because, I mean, I know she had her, like, big movie with True Grit. And the True Grit remake. But, like, between this and Bumblebee, she ended this year on a breakout run, so I have to give her that. But let me ask you this: so Miles Morales, he's half black, half Latino. Now, I didn't have a problem with Shameik Moore voicing it because he did a pretty good job, and I did like the little small touches, like Miles speaking Spanish. I thought that was actually pretty dope. Now, for you, I remember some people on Twitter feeling as though they should have got somebody that was half black, half Hispanic. I mean, was that something that kind of like maybe you kind of thinking in your head, or you didn't care?
No, come on now.
Hey, I gotta ask these things because
really?
Some people had those concerns, and I get it.
No. Shameik Moore was the perfect person for this role, considering that. We're talking about Miles Morales now. Miles is the hip, the more in touch with society. Spider-Man. He's cool. He wears the Jordans. He has the fashion style. I mean, look, when you think about somebody right now that's doing it, who else would you have selected that legitimately plays that part?
I mean, he just came out. I mean, he was in the Get Down, so yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I mean the guy. I mean, it's perfect, and I'm pretty sure they looked at the movie dope, and it was just like, oh, we need this guy. They probably looked over there. Zoe Kravitz, oh, we need her. Yeah. It just was very easy to transition into who need to play these roles. Now, there is a few random things about this movie that I want to make sure I drop in before you
go for it. That's what we're here for. We're here for this.
Number one, this is an origin story, and I know people get tired of origin stories, but this was brilliant. This is how you get it done.
Goes quick and easy.
Pay attention to the one thing I will say is pay attention to a lot of the dialogue that's going on in the movie, because there is a lot. Like I wrote this on my Facebook. Like, this movie did a really good job in keeping this fun for kids, but for big comic book heads and nerds, it so much substance that there's almost no way you picked up on everything, but there was so much. And I will say this, when people are introduced from the universes they come from, listen to their story, because literally you've heard the stories before. Yeah. And it's very, very cool how they did that. It's like, it was to the point where it was just like, yo, if Sony had this juice all the time, how did they keep making mistakes in movies?
But that's the kicker. It's like, that's what's wild to me. It's like, I look at Venom, and it's like, you know, some people might say I was harsh, but it was like, it was baffling, because it's like, look, even if you wanted to change up and not put Spider-Man in that movie, I get it. But there, like, you had ideas there, and I just felt the execution wasn't good. And it feels like with this movie, and maybe actually got people like Lord and Miller, and you have Bendis on board. I think that played a huge role. You have people that actually know the material, and they're like, hold up, look, if we're going to tell this story, we're going to do this shit right.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what they did. I mean, that's why just pay attention to. I'm dancing around my thoughts, because I'm just not trying to spoil anything.
You should, because you don't want to spoil everything. Trust me. Yeah. I think people need to see that for themselves, because they'll be like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are saying.
My advice is, when people are introduced from their universe and they tell you their stories, because this is not their story. This is Miles Morales' story. But what they say is very significant, and I can guarantee you, if you just use a little bit of brain power, you're gonna really understand what they're talking about. And then also, yeah, and then the other thing I would say is, there's so much action going on in the movies, and this is just easy for anybody who watch a lot of movies. You know, when there's dialogue between action, there's certain dialogue that's being said. Totally listen to a lot of that type of dialogue that's come up, because there's some really, like, Sony's out here, they're trying to make a comeback, and they're trying to know that, like, they're not playing around. And a lot of the stuff that they have said in this movie is not only just pertaining to the movie, but pertaining to the big picture with Sony. And I think that it's very interesting listening to the things that they're saying. It's you know, people like to say Easter eggs being in movies. There's a lot of Easter eggs within dialogue in this movie.
I mean, and look, you mentioned the action scenes. We got to talk about that. The action scenes were actually really good. Like it, because I watch a lot of, both of us watch a lot of anime, Dragon Ball Z, and sometimes with animation period, when you get to the fights, some people tend to get a little janky with the camera. Let's keep it real here.
Yeah.
Keep it a buck and stuff.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting with this one is that they got the grandeur of being Spider-Man, because at one point Peter and Miles are like swinging, and they managed to capture like that feeling of like, oh, they're swinging and then they're fighting, and just the insane amount of like things that Spider-Man has to do to jump everything while he's doing what he's doing and stuff. And they actually managed to nail that aspect of it and stuff, which I think worked.
Yeah.
So, trying to think that we got everything. Like I said, don't want to spoil anything and stuff. Much like Creed, we're kind of dancing around a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you got anything else you want to tell the peoples?
Yo, I gotta address the big thing that everyone always asks whenever you see a movie. I call it the big three. So,
yeah.
and the big three doesn't always apply to movies, but people still ask it for some reason. So, number one, who died? Well, Chris already said it. Spider-Man died.
Yeah.
Number
that's
two,
not even a big spoiler per se, because it's like that's the antithesis of how everything kicks off. So it's just at that point you're just kind of like, how?
Yeah, people just I don't know. I don't know what people find in that question, but they always ask. But yeah, number one, who died? Peter Parker died in the beginning of the movie. Number two, was it better than the first one? This one didn't have. This is the first one, so yeah. And number three, what would I give it out of 10? I mean, easily for animated movies of the year, this is like a 9 out of 10.
Oh yes. Man.
I really, and I'm giving it a 9 because I really need to just see it in another theater, maybe a better screen, and I really can't wait to own it on TV because I know it's going to banging at home. Oh, yeah. But overall, as a movie, I think it's 8 out of 10.
Definitely stay for the after credits because that shit is hilarious,
amazing. Yeah,
it's fucking hilarious.
It's golden for sure. But 8 out of 10 is a movie straight up.
Yeah. I give it a 9 out of 10 easily. I mean, it's they knocked it out the park, and just the fact that they were able to, that we know we're gonna get. They're trying to do a sequel of sorts with these other characters, like the Spider-Gwen character. I'm like,
Well, I was gonna say, we'll just keep it 100. They left the door open for anything at this point. Every universe, anybody can go anywhere and do anything. That's what they left us with, and it's smart, Sony. You don't know how much money you're gonna make, so don't be trying to set up Sinister Six when you don't even know if your franchise is gonna make it to that. They played this safe here where they said, "Look, we're gonna leave seeds all over the place, and if this does good ratings, which it already has, good money." We got this to go with. And it's perfect.
Oh yeah. They definitely did this. So with that in mind, definitely check out Nigeria. He has the Big Gold Belt show. I'm pretty sure if you guys have been listening to us, we've been kind of like we guested on here a couple weeks ago and stuff, and this is fun. Hopefully, if you see hold up, did you already see Bumblebee?
No, but I got it lined up.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw the early one. So folks, check out.
Yeah, I heard good things about that from you, so can't wait to see it.
Yeah, so check out our Bumblebee review. That's already up. I know we'll probably after this one, because this month, since we've been like on break-ish and stuff, it's probably gonna be like a whole bunch of like just movie reviews back to back, because this December has been ridiculous, because Deadpool, the Deadpool movie that's coming out.
Yep.
Me and D are gonna do Vice.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Didn't see Mortal Engines. I'm still
pass.
Yeah, I'm passing on that, even though I love Peter Jackson. So yeah.
And then you before we know it'll be January, but I expect some of those January movies they might bleed into December screenings, and Glass is the big one.
Oh, man, listen, Glass is on my radar easily.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, with that in mind, we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
Chin, 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 narrow.